Hey everyone, it's Wade Franson. I am back in the studio recording a sneak peek for episode 204, airing on December 16th, which is this coming Tuesday at 8 Central Time, with Hoekstra. Cy is a writer and an editor and a podcaster. And despite challenges that he's had, which we'll talk about in the show, his focus is really on faith and humor. Welcome to the studio, Cy.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. So, Cy, how did you come to arrive at focusing on faith and humor in your writing and in your work with your Substack account, et cetera?
I would say the Substack account mostly is humor writing about my experiences as a disabled person. And I think humor has always been a way that I express faith and hope in a way, meaning for me, it's not really something, and sometimes people hear about humor or comedy, whatever, coming from a place of frustration, a place of people exercising their demons kind of through comedy. That's very much not where I'm coming from. Like I come from a place where I've worked through a lot of those things with faith and emotional health and therapy, and humor to me is very much an expression of hope and in a belief that there is something brighter and more powerful out there than kind of the drudgery that we often see every day in our lives and in the news and things like that.
Well, I recently was reminded of, I think it was Norman Cousins who wrote the book Laughter is the Best Medicine, and he actually had a condition called ankylosing spondylitis, which I was actually diagnosed with when I was 28 years old, and I was told I'd be in a wheelchair by age 40. And I'm a little bit past that now. Don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but that didn't happen. And his book was instrumental to me. Are there specific touch points, whether it's in scripture or elsewhere, that you've used in reaching this conclusion and deciding on this focus?
It's a lot of what Jesus says to people who take themselves too seriously. I don't think this is like the primary thing that Jesus is teaching anybody, but a thing that I take away from when Jesus talks to religious leaders who put, too heavy a burden on people, or who are looking for applause and praise from other people. And that, I kind of, in my mind, I sort of condense all that down or synthesize that sometimes. One angle of all that is people who take themselves too seriously. Jesus is constantly inviting people to humility, and I think humor does the same thing. Generosity and hospitality. I think I'm blind, and a lot of the way that I talk about disability humor with regard to my disability, I think is very much aimed at hospitality toward and generosity toward people who don't understand blindness and who have just who are ignorant about it, right? Through typically no fault of their own. To invite people to be able to talk about things that you're not necessarily supposed to talk about, or that you feel awkward talking about a lot of the time. I feel that all of that is tied up in how Jesus approaches humility and arrogance.
Well, and could not agree with you more. That is the very definition of the mind of Christ, right? Esteeming others better than oneself, that humility. And of course, then there's the famous John 13:35, by this shall all men know that you're my disciples, that you have love one for another. And this expression of love and humility and really forming relationships is something we're going to dive into deep. So I really look forward to that December 16th episode, where we'll have you live on the show and spend an hour unpacking this. So for everyone in the audience, you're not going to want to miss episode 204 on December 16th at 8 p.m. Central on Created in the Image of God. We'll see you there.